Very good.
Fala pra portaria, faz o mesmo.
If not now, then when? This was the question at the center of our lives just 9 months ago when we quit our jobs and leaped into the unknown. I'm Wade, and this beautiful human over here, that's Monica. You can call her Monya. This is a video about our story. It's a story where love, risk, and passion collide. The first thing you gotta know about us is that we are vastly different humans. It would be nice and pretty cute if I could tell you that we finished each other's sentences and we could feel how the other person was feeling without using words, but this just isn't one of those stories. We are totally different, and the only thing that I'm finishing around here is Monya's food. The most important thing that we share is the same vision for our future. Since we first met 3 years ago, the one thing that we were absolutely certain about was the fact that there had to be more to life than these careers that we were busy chasing. And as far as we were concerned, it was that shared vision of our future that really mattered. Monya is the most free-spirited and easy-go-lucky kind of human that you're ever gonna meet. And me, I'm the one who overthinks everything and has to plan everything to the T before I can get anything done. And the truth is, our differences have been the very reason that we have made it this far. They've created this beautiful space where each of us takes a little from the other person depending on the situation that we're faced with. Actually, it's kinda how us tripping was born, but we really had absolutely no idea how big the adventure ahead was really gonna be. It all started in the very early stages of the pandemic. Living in a studio apartment in Dubai, Monya called me over to her apartment for some really big news. Given that we were neighbors at the time, it didn't take me very long to get there. But I remember so clearly, she looked at me with this burning desire to escape. And she said, "I think I need to leave Dubai. Would you come with me if I did?" She continued to say, "Why can't we live a life that we see these other people living? By the beach, with a dog, just truly living." And honestly, I couldn't think of a good reason why we couldn't live that way. But you can imagine that my brain clicked into overdrive. My wires were misfiring. I had no idea what to say. There were 1,000 questions racing through my mind. How would I earn money? How would my life look if I left my job? We'd spent our whole lives working to get to the place that we were at. We were financially secure. We were, for the most part, happy. We had all those things that they told us that we needed to be happy. Money, a job, a house, a car, you know. From there, the conversation erupted, and the free spirit inside of Monya began to grow more and more restless. So sure about her decision, it was time for me to either hop onto this moving train or step aside and let it pass. We sat for hours chatting about the possibilities, chatting about how life could look. First, we would move to Hawaii, but Hawaii ended up being a little bit expensive. Then Thailand. Eventually, we arrived at the decision to live in Bali. I was warming to the idea, but I still wasn't completely sold. It took me a few days to process it all and to figure out what on earth I was about to do. A few days later, when logic eventually set in, I devised a reasoning that made sense for myself. The theory was simple. Let's live where the currency is weak and earn where the currency is strong. Once this decision was made, my mindset started to shift from what on earth am I doing to why the hell did I not do this sooner? Now it was the time to leave. We were going. We were going to start our new life in Bali. But there was a global pandemic going on and all the borders were shut. We had absolutely no intention to travel around the globe. We found ourselves trapped in Dubai, visas expired, living in an expensive hotel room just waiting for Bali, or anywhere for that matter, to just open its borders. After months of being in this hotel room, racking up visa fines, one day the news broke that Brazil had opened the borders. We did some quick maths and turned out that the cost of living was cheap enough for us to consider Brazil as a temporary home while we continued to wait for Bali to open up. So we booked a flight and we left just a few days later. But from here, it all gets pretty wild. Months later, our visa in Brazil had reached its limit. We hopped across to Peru, we did some plant medicine and traveled around the country, still patiently waiting. Eventually, our visa was up there too, so we hopped back to Brazil. And at this point, we really needed to start thinking about a more long-term plan, because there's only so much that one person can take of carrying their entire life around with them in 5 bags. By this time, South Africa had opened its borders. And we saw this as an opportunity to go and see my family, and of course to stop staying in hotels and B&Bs for a little while. 4 months passed in South Africa, and suddenly Monya found herself in the same predicament. She had overstayed her visa yet again. So now, planning our next stepping stone to Maldives, where we would stay there for 30 days, the news broke that there was actually a way to enter Bali. It did not take us much convincing. We were on the phone, calling and booking everything that needed to be booked so that we could fly out as soon as possible. We flew out of South Africa just a few days after hearing the news. And as I said, it was never our plan to travel the world. But if there's one lesson that we've learned through all of this, it's that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. 10 months later now, at the time of making this video, we wouldn't change a thing. The journey that life ended up taking us on has shown us exactly what we want out of this life. We have overcome hurdles, we've faced adversity, we've lifted each other up at our lowest points, and through it all, we've finally made it. Now that we're here in Bali, our channel's no longer going to be about travel and massive adventure. Now, you're going to follow our journey as we navigate life and set up a company, get a dog, start a little home here in paradise.